All right, I wanted to make a quick video about how we analyze on different time zones. Just a really quick, simple video, and it is fairly easy, I'll admit, to do this analysis on something like US30 right now because obviously we have been trending. Um, we've been trending very well. So, um, a lot of times, sometimes you're going to have price action like this where things get a little bit more messy, and we can do some videos about that in the future. But um, let's just get into it really quickly, right? So on the weekly chart. Here we are in the weekly chart. So um, simple level, we have this low right here. I'm not going to mark this low because this wouldn't be relevant until this low would be reached. Obviously, we are in an uptrend, clearly. That's the most obvious thing here. Um, Now I'm going to mark that level. I'm not going to mark this level because you will see in a little bit why. So let's go down to the daily chart. So here you can see this weekly level correlates to this daily support down here. Now, the next level we need to keep an eye on is this daily level here. Now, this was a big resistance level. Let me move that. This was a huge resistance level that we came up and almost broke. We closed a little bit below it and sort of tested it, and then we pulled back. And then obviously here we tapped into this daily support down here before wicking and pushing up and breaking out to new all-time highs. Now here on the daily, you can see we are now breaking the low of the previous daily candle. And so my thought process here is because the price action today just wasn't super great, did not have a trading opportunity, that fit with my, um, what I wanted, my idea with what I wanted the market to do this morning. So it's better to just, like I always say, wait on the sidelines and wait until conditions get better for you because there's nothing worse than forcing a trade that, you really knew deep down you shouldn't have taken and you end up losing, right? That's, I don't do that anymore. So, um, so we have this daily zone here. Um, and even though we are in an uptrend, a lot of times these major zones are retested and price revisits these zones. So you can kind of just see within this uptrend, there's different areas where um, you have levels that get retested, right? And so, my idea here is that at some point, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, right? It's the end of the morning. It's about noon. Sometime we can come back down into this level. That's kind of, uh, you know, how I'm approaching that. Now, I'm not going to mark this daily support down here because, again, we have two daily supports. This was a resistance that was broken. Now it's support. We have two supports before this level. So, one of my things is I don't like to crowd the chart too much. I don't want to have, you don't want to have a line on every single little support or resistance here, and it makes it a little bit too much. It can kind of mess with your mind when you're trying to discern price action, right? So um, this level would only need to be marked and need to be looked at if we would come down below here and to this level, right? But again, we don't need to mark all these zones right now. So anyway, I'm not going to mark this level here yet because the day is still open. And so instead of putting a zone here, right, like this, because this is relevant to today's price action, this is today's daily candle, we're going to mark this differently when you go down to a lower time frame, right? So this is our daily support that we are keeping an eye on. Now, when we look at the 4-hour chart, okay, obviously you can see we broke down below this low here, but you can see on this daily level all of the touches in the zone, right? Right here, this one came up a little bit, right? Here, then we had a small rejection before back here a couple days back before we eventually broke out. We really only have one legitimate violation of this zone, and it's this level here. And so that's how you know this zone is a very big deal, and it's really important and relevant to this current price action. Okay, so yeah, so we're keeping that zone the way that it is. Okay, now. Recently I haven't been as big of a fan of making 4-hour zones. I just like to look at the price action on the 4-hour, but I feel like if you have your major zones on the weekly, usually for any given day that you're going to trade, you only need to have one and no more than two weekly zones to keep an eye on. And those are just very big general zones to give you a better idea of getting your bias, right? So again, daily zone down here. Let's look at the 30-minute. Now, this is pretty interesting price action. So obviously we have very steady, sort of stair stepping our way to the upside, as I like to say. So This was this morning. Now we had the market open here at 7:30, and when we broke up, we broke the highs of these candles, right? Um, Obviously, we are looking at this zone up here, okay? This is all-time high on the US30. We have, broken and closed at all-time highs last, I think Thursday it was. And now we're sort of just in this big sideways pattern. And so again, it makes you think, are we going to end up doing something like this again, where we're just kind of sideways, maybe sideways down for a little bit, and then we break out to the upside again? So anyway, this was this morning, right? We didn't have enough volume to even test this level. And so obviously we just pull back now. So the next zone we need to look at that's relevant to current price is this. Now I know you may say, well, we have this down here, and yes, but the thing to think about is, and really try to understand, is with how close these are, and this is all again my opinion that's formed from my experiences. If you have different experiences, do whatever works for you. But um, this this is more relevant to me, in my opinion, because if we will break this, um, that it will go in line with fairly easily breaking this. If you look at the 4-hour chart here, right? Um, this zone, this zone just seems much more important because we have more touches down here, more candles. It's now where price currently is, and this level down here is relatively close, right, in the grand scheme of things. And um, that's just a way that I try to simplify things. I'm not saying that's the way you should do it. Do whatever works for you, but that's kind of how I try to simplify things. If we come down a little bit, we're bouncing around this level, for instance, or this one, then yeah, maybe I'll take note of that, right? But um, for now, I am just taking note of this because I'm trying to keep things simple. So here we are, right, and this level right here is our daily support level. Okay, so um, basically the way that we approach this from now, from this point on, is we say, okay, well, here, um, right, right here was the market open, Monday morning market open. Nothing really happened, but we do know that this was last week's high, right? Or you know, um, yeah, the high of last week, the end of last week, beginning of this week, and this morning we had bullish volume, right, come into the market, was not enough to reach and retest this level. Then we roll back over to the downside. Okay, now we have this support level here, and I guess just for the sake of it, let me mark this bottom level so we can have that there. Yeah, let me make it smaller. Yeah, let me extend that a little bit. Okay, because you can see still, obviously, if this candle would, reject like it looks like it is and move up, right? It is pulling back into this level and rejecting. Anyway, I'm just trying to explain what my point was is that, I just try to simplify things a little bit, right? I don't want to necessarily mark every single support and resistance level. I just want to mark what I think is most relevant to what I'm trying to do, right? And that can change, varying on a number of different things, right? So anyway, um, here we have, right, we have this sideways pattern again that we've been seeing time and time again, as we continue, as US30 continues to move up. Right, we just have constant periods of, here is a great example back here. Down here we have tons of examples of, we have a massive push to the upside, massive sideways consolidation that's just painful. I mean, painful being in this. Another push up, sideways, push up, and we just continue, right, with this same pattern over and over again for the most part. And so now, as we come up to where we are now, again, we are at all-time highs. Um, you know, there is talk this year about lowering interest rates. There's uh, a lot of world events that can really and are really going to affect the US30 price action this year. And so obviously we need to be aware of that. And this right here, this video is purely technical analysis. I'm not going to get into things about interest rates or anything about inflation news affecting the market. That's for another time. But simply technically, right? Technically speaking, looking at this, we can treat this the same way we always have, right? If we break below this support down here, I do think we can retest this daily zone. That is my hypothesis with this. Even though we are still in an uptrend, we can come down to retest the zone. And so we will see how that looks on the 30-minute chart. Obviously, because I like to trade the 30-minute because the market open falls on a 30-minute candle. That's just kind of what I like to do. Sometimes I look at the 15. But today, the session, we're really getting toward the end of US session now. And so again, we're going to have sort of the aftermarket hours type of thing. And so we're not going to have a whole bunch of volume, uh, this afternoon, tonight. But early tomorrow morning, right, is when volume is going to start to be increasing. And again, like I said, I'm not going to get into the news that could be coming out and that sort of thing in this video. And so then basically our approach here is we look at our zones in a higher time frame, right? We look at price action on a lower time frame, and the relevant price action to where we are currently. So basically, currently the setup right now, to analyze on the 30-minute chart would be like from here up to where we are now. Okay, so that's why that's why I didn't go and make a zone right here on this daily chart, because if we're trading the 30-minute chart, we can make things a little bit more precise, right? Actually looking at the 30-minute chart. Um, so what we do is we get our bias from our daily and weekly levels. So yes, obviously we're still in an uptrend unless things geopolitically change. We are still in an uptrend, but that doesn't mean that we are only going to be looking for massive bullish breakouts. Here, if we maintain this zone, this support level going into tomorrow morning, and we get a really big uh, we get really bearish price action breaking down below this and retesting this as resistance, we could easily, and I mean easily, retest this daily zone. And so again, that doesn't mean that we're just thinking, okay, well, we're in an uptrend. My approach, my plan is just, wait for a pullback, wait for consolidation, and buy every single time, right? Again, price moves in waves, and so that's kind of why I wanted to mark this zone down here, because again, even though we're in an uptrend, this is a very logical level for us to tap back into, okay? So again, what our approach is we make our weekly and our daily zones. We are aware of them. We get an idea for how price has been sort of flowing the last, couple weeks and days. We see where we are within the week. We're in a Monday. Usually Mondays are low volume, right? I've noticed, like I always say, um, I've noticed that a lot of times we'll get big high volume moves on Thursdays or Fridays to kind of end off the week. So for instance, if you're looking at a weekly candlestick, right, the beginning of the week, right, the first maybe 2 or even 3 days sometimes will be sort of sideways and bearish to establish a bottom wick, right, on the weekly candle. And then the last 2 days of the week, we will have a big bullish day to establish the bottom wick and then push higher and have a bullish candle close for that week. So, not necessarily saying that's what's going to happen here. However, it could be the case, right? If you look at the weekly chart here. Again, so what we're doing is we make our zones. We go down onto the 30-minute chart, which is what I like to trade, and we make our relevant zones that are relevant to this current setup here, which, like I said, is about from here to here. This is our current setup, so we make our zones that are relevant. And I know this is a little bit of a, you know, touchy subject, not too precise here, but anyway, you get the idea. So we make our zones that are relevant on our current time frame that we're trading, and then we look for setups that make logical setups according to our plan during a high volume time. Now, right now, it's noon. U.S. session began at 7:30. It is now 11:50. So, do you think that this is a good time to be looking for a trade? Probably not, right? Because we're slowly getting toward the end of our trading session. I know a lot of times, like I said, we will have some high volume moves that go run late into the morning, but I typically don't look for that on a Monday, just because a lot of times my experience on Mondays is it's really low volume, and I've had a lot of my dumbest trades and worst losses on Mondays because I'm expecting, a big week after Saturday and Sunday not trading. You're expecting a really nice day, and you want to get a head start and make a lot of money, right? And you end up taking stupid trades. So I never really expect Mondays to be high volume days. And so our approach now is we have this analysis done, we have the setup done. We will be back tomorrow morning at about 7 a.m. So usually around half an hour before the market open, um, right? I get this kind of analysis done. And like I said, I know it's US30. We've been trending extremely hard, very bullish, right? Uh, very bullish trend the last couple weeks and months. And so I know it's easy to kind of analyze this. I know there's a lot of pairs where you may say, oh, well, you can't analyze that, on this pair because of all the volatility. And I get that, but it's like, you can always go trade something that gives you easy conditions. You don't have to stick with a currency pair or some kind of instrument that is really difficult to understand. That's not, that's the beauty of trading is you can trade really whatever you want. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to trade if US30 is trending really well and it's really easy, right, to analyze, I'm going to trade that because why wouldn't you? So what we'll do is I'll get up at about, before 7 o'clock, but at 7 o'clock, I will be looking at where the price action is, right? Um, and depending on where we are, if we're still within, from this low to this high, if we're still within this little consolidation rectangular box, as you could call it, um, then we're just going to see where price is as we lead into the market open. Um, this was an interesting level here. You can see this level at the market open, and so it's the thought process there is okay. Well, we're at an interesting level at the market open. Let's see if we can push through this, right? And again, we just didn't have enough volume. It is a Monday morning again, so we will see how this sets up by tomorrow morning before 7:30, and then usually right at 7:30 as the new candle opens, I will see how it opens, relative to the recent price action. Maybe we're down here, maybe we stair step our way up in the middle of the night during London session up to this level, and then the market open ends up, opening right a little bit below this resistance. That would be ideal conditions, obviously, for a long position, but it doesn't always happen that way. And so um, then based on that price action, we look for a logical entry. If we get a big wick rejection at the market open and we start to push down, we could easily see this daily level retested. We could look for a short position, right? It's all just about you make your zones on the higher time frames. You sit back and you have sort of a methodical approach, and then as you zone down, you really focus down onto your lower time frames. That's when you're really purely looking at the price action relative to the recent zones. Okay, so we have our daily and our weekly zones, but these are our recent zones that are relevant to current price action. Okay, we can use this daily support down here as a target if the relevant recent price action is very bearish, right? But um, it's really once you get your zones in the higher time frame, you're trading the price action on the lower time frame, right? And you're trying to use the higher time frame zones as like I say, checkpoints in the journey that price is going on. Okay, so anyway, it's pretty interesting on US30 because despite a lot of things going on in the world, we are still uh, continue to make all-time highs. And I know these good trading conditions are not going to last forever. We're eventually going to get some nasty volatility that makes you sick to your stomach and makes you not want to trade, right? But um, you know, like I said, when you have good conditions, why not take advantage of it? It'd be dumb to say, you have to go trade something super volatile. It's like Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin keeps trending to the upside. There's lots of great buying opportunities on Bitcoin. Um, so you know, you need to go where ideal conditions are, right? So anyway, that's just kind of a quick little setup of how I analyze this. And like I said, I know it's simple right now because US30 has really ideal conditions for us, but um, again, that's just kind of my approach. So 7 o'clock tomorrow, um, when that time comes around, we're going to see where price is, if we're still within the zone, if we're not, and then we're going to go from there and trade based off of the 30-minute price action relative to these daily and weekly zones.